Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Wednesday in the Riv after a preliminary election. So we got a boatload of stuff to talk about. We're going to do a little bit of political political analysis here.
Works for me. I'll
Well,
tell
I
you,
think. Go
we had 12% turnout on the election. According to Ryan Lyons, he sent out 4,500 mail in ballots. Less than half, 2,200, were returned. That says something about the apathy that this city has when you can't even fill out the ballot and drop it in the mail, which makes it very easy. 4,500 were sent out, 2,200 were received. You know what I'd say to that? The other 2,300 people, you're not getting a mail in ballot for the general election because this is ridiculous. The city wastes money, postage on sending that out. They pay the postage to mail them out to you and mail them back to them. You've got to make sure when you get that ballot, you do like I do, fill it out the day you receive it and put it in that day's mail. Don't waste time because you forget about it. You put it aside, it gets on the papers, it goes, on a bulletin board. It goes some on the desk and it gets buried. Just fill it out and mail it out. It's important that you vote. It's very important that you vote, and it's important that you get that vote out there because if you don't get the vote out there, we're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Well, you're right, CJ, and I think this election really uh, gave a perspective on why it's so important to vote. Because a lot of people, and I know you say 12% is abysmal, and when you figure 22 of them didn't even get up and go to vote, it's much lower. And that's bad. We always said we get 90% turnout, the election is the true voice of the people. I think a lot of the people are discouraged, they're demoralized, they feel that there's nothing they can do because what can I do? Well, you can get out and vote in the final election because I'll tell you something. They're going to try to spin it every way but loose, but I'm going to give you a little bit of my analysis here. I think this election. Oh, man. I think this election is up for grabs uh, because of the small turnout. There was only, I believe, 1,769 votes between Coogan and Sutter. That's not a lot of votes when you think that we had such an abysmal turnout. And you look at the city council race. Wow, everything's pretty tight. Uh, but it was, I think that the Cooganites came out to vote. We know that, and they came out to vote in a primary to send a message. But the rest of the people who are dealing with crime and all the other issues that are upset with this and what's going on didn't show up. So it's up to the candidates to get people out, council candidates and the mayoral candidates. The reality is that you look at the ticket, you look at the um, you look at the city council results. You get three Cooganites at the top, and the other Cooganite uh, pretty close, maybe fifth. And they were buoyed by the Coogan coattails, except for Laura Washington. So let me tell Laura maybe this is an indictment of the people that they weren't satisfied with your performance. Because even though they were probably dissatisfied with the performance of some of these people who are at the top of this ticket, they do have a very a solid base because they've been in for a while for the most part. But even with Coogan's endorsement, you finished 12th, I believe. So the reality is, you better tell the people what you're going to do for them if you want a chance at re-election. And we see a lot of room for movement in this election if the people come out. This is the whole crux of this thing. We can only have the government that we want and we need when we participate. You have to get out and vote. 12%'s not cutting it. You saw this is a basically showing you that if you don't come out to vote, the rich, the privileged, and the politically connected will continue to run this city. Because you look at the vote totals, for the most part, they're happy with market rate housing. They don't care if people are being displaced. They're happy with the crime. They're happy with everything. And it's too bad that people have not exercised it. Let's hope that all these candidates, from the top down, city council candidates, now break their silence and begin to tell the people what they're going to do for them. Not for the market rate housing developers, not for their rich friends, not tell them what jobs they're going to get them, but tell them what they're going to do about the crime, the tax rate, the homelessness, the drug addictions in this city. Because if they're not going to tell you what they're going to do for you, it means that they're doing for the people that don't care about you.
Well, what's very interesting is, I mean, there's a lot of comments that are being made um, on here, and some of them, as you know, I don't um, put on the screen because I don't think it's appropriate. But this entire election has been way too quiet. And, Amy says the same thing here. She says, it's been too quiet. I haven't heard substance from anyone. And that's the big problem. Nobody has any substance on what they're going to say. Nobody's telling people, this is what I'm going to do for you. Okay? People like Linda, Brad, and Joe are Cooganites. They work for the mayor. They don't work for the people. They've proven that over and over again. They work for the mayor. What the mayor wants, the mayor gets because they make sure it happens. Sean Kadim and Cliff Pont are coming back, we believe, based upon this preliminary election, but things can change. Sean has been wish-washy all along. He says the right things, and then he votes the opposite way. Cliff Ponte, I don't know. I mean, he made a good city council president. He made a good temporary mayor. Maybe he'll become city council president again. I don't know. Paul Hart, that's another one. I firmly believe Paul is going to be in the pocket of the mayor. Andrew Raposa, another wish-washy one. Okay? He says the right things, but then he votes the other way. He doesn't get the message across to people that he should get across to people. Okay? And he should remember that he represents the people and not the mayor. Michelle came in number 8. Good for Michelle. I'm glad she did. And Michelle was just hoping to come in one of the top 9, and she came in number 8. And a new one to the field is Alexander P. Silva. Alexander came in number 9. Now, I'm not sure how he's going to vote or what his positions are going to be because he currently serves on preservation in the city. I'm not sure for the mayor or if it's just for the Florida Preservation Society. And he's done a lot of work in historic preservation in this city. So I'm hoping that he brings that back to the city council and lets people know. The interesting thing about these votes is at this point, now they get very close, and the next person in line after Alexander Silva is Gabe Amaral. And the difference in votes is 104 votes. That's not a lot of votes. That can be made up, but you got to campaign. You got to get out the vote. You got to go out there and make sure that the people are going to get out the vote. Get together people, have them make phone calls, and ask people on the day of the election, did you get out and vote today? Do you need a ride? Is there a reason why you haven't gone out to vote? Make sure these people get out to vote. Jordan Sylvia, he came in number 11 with 1,960 votes. That's about 46 votes shy of what Dave Amaral came in. And Laura Washington came in 18 votes shy of what Jordan came in. But the thing that surprised me was Pamela Liberty LeBeau came in 13th with 1,843 votes. She really hasn't done that well of a job getting her message out if she wanted to get a message out. Maybe people are tired of it. Maybe people want to see something different. It's maybe it's time to have somebody different and have something more than what we have. And what we have right now is a city council that represents the mayor, and we need more than that.
Well, you're right, CJ, and people have to realize that you have to get out there. The destiny of this city is in your hand. If we continue down this path of spending and taxing, we're gonna be in receivership. I can guarantee you that. We cannot. ARPA money's gonna run out. The Durfee override, the diamond is coming. All those jobs that Coogan's created are gonna bite us. And where are we gonna get the money? They're going to be asking for a debt override to maintain public safety again. And how many overrides are we going to get? We might as well just completely obliterate Proposition 2.5. And then everybody except the rich will be displaced. But that's probably what they want. But this election is up for grabs. And this is the problem. And we've said this time and time again. And, they're going to try to spin it. The public spoke. Well, no, the public didn't speak. The public didn't speak. We got what's the last count? It's in the 55 to 58,000 voters registered. I mean, this is absurd. And Dan Robillard, hey, welcome, Dan. I haven't seen you in a while on here. To 267 away from ninth. Yeah, listen, nobody's out of reach. See, that's the key. There's nobody out of reach. This is a very, very winnable election by everyone. So let's see who works the hardest. Let's see who brings their message to the people in the best way. We already know what Linda and Brad are going to do. Brad's been a rubber stamp for the administration since he's been in office. We all know that the people at the top of this ticket don't care how much money we spent, ever. And once in a while they may talk a little bit, may vote against one little minor thing, but the big ticket items they always support. They're part of the cabal. So if you want the rich who don't care about you to continue to run the city, well, don't vote. But it's up to the candidates to appeal to the people, to motivate the people to get out and vote by telling them what's wrong with this city and how they're going to help fix these problems. Consistently increasing taxes, crime, all these things that haven't been addressed in the 3 years that Coogan's been in office. And why? Because our council was complicit, or the majority of our council. Obviously, Michelle, and once in a while, a few of them would join Michelle in advocating for the people, and I was very pleased to see Michelle's finish. And but this election is up for grabs. I mean, I don't know if they may be dancing in the streets right now, but most of these people are vulnerable. Look, I'm a political realist. I'm a pragmatist. I fully expect Linda Pereira to be reelected. She's been around for 150 years. She's got a following that doesn't really care what she does. She's done a few favors for them. She's good with constituent service, and that gets her elected. And that's unfortunate because I don't care if you put a light bulb on my street. I want you to help me try to keep some money in my pocket. My tax rate, we haven't seen a year with the tax rate being held or with any relief to the average people in Fall River. I can't even remember when. And between first and ninth is, oh, Dan, you're doing your math today, buddy. 1,428 votes. That's the man. He's the guy that gave me the 1,769 figure. But just as Danny was the advocate on that charter and the only dissenting opinion, he stood up for what he believed in. And we need these new counselors who are unknowns. We all know what Brad Kilby's going to do all the time before it's done. We know what Linda Pereira is going to do. We know what Joe Camara is going to do. And we know what Paul Hart's going to do. Whatever the mayor tells them to do. It's up to the rest of these people to bring it to the people. Take your message to the people. Tell them what you're going to do for us. Tell them how you're going to stop the bleeding, stop the crime, stop people being displaced from their homes. And before I turn it over to you, CJ, I'm going to revisit something that Michelle said on Monday's show. She talked to an individual who had an apartment. I believe it was on Montauk Street. I may be wrong, so don't jump on me if I got the wrong street. I'd have to review the show, but I believe it was Montauk. And he paid $800 a month for this apartment. And then his landlord came in and said, well, this is now a water view apartment because you can see the water from Montauk Street and from that view or whatever. Not near the water, but water view. And he raised his rent to $1,800. That's more than double, because 8 and 8, okay, is $1,600. So he more than doubled the guy's rent. Now the guy is going to be displaced because he can't afford it. Does our mayor with the heart care about that? No. He said, you don't like it? He even said on one of the shows, oh yeah, there will be some people displaced. But he didn't finish the sentence that said, I don't care if they are because they don't matter to me. So it's up to you candidates, whether it's the mayoral candidate or the city council candidates, to tell the people what the hell you're going to do to relieve the damn burden that we've been suffering. Because this cabal doesn't have any sensitivity toward the plight of the people. It's like Joe Biden in Maui. He doesn't care. He's worried more about global warming in Ukraine than he is about this country falling apart around him. And that's exactly what's happening in Fall River on a lesser scale. To you, CJ.
Well, I'll tell you now. Was this election a surprise to me? Not really. Um, I think that what happens is that people just get so apathetic that they just vote who they know. They just go there and they say, "Oh yeah, Linda's been there forever, Joe's been there forever, Brad's been there forever," and they go down the list like that, and they don't think about what they've done, if anything. And what this mayor has done has been even less than nothing. He's, except for benefiting his friends, he's done nothing for the people of Fall River. And notice I said the people of Fall River. I didn't say me. I said the people of Fall River. Our taxes have gone up tremendously. Rents have gone up tremendously. The cost of living in the city has gone up tremendously. And that's not just because of the mayor, okay? That's because of the rate of inflation that we have in this country. But the mayor has done nothing to try to minimize some of those effects on the taxpayer. And that's where it becomes important. And that's always very important. Well, and this is Dan bringing something up. Dan Rigo finished 9th in the preliminary election and 2nd in the general election that same year. And, so again, this election can still be won. The key is that you've got to get out, you've got to campaign, you've got to vote, and you've got to get out the vote. Okay? I heard throughout this primary process from many candidates, I have a job, I've got to do my job, I've got a business to run, I've got to do my business. If you've got a business to run and you can't campaign, why are you running? Run your business and don't campaign. And that will take out a lot of good candidates that would do good for the city. But the problem is you have to be able to manage your time. You have to manage your time. You cannot be saying to the public, this is what we're going to do on this date. And then on that date, you've got to change the date because you're not showing any consistency. People want consistency. The one consistency they have with Paul is that he reaches into their pockets and drains their pockets. He empties their wallets. He uses their credit cards if he could to pay the bills, and they do get paid by paying online, and you really get jabbed there by the city. But you've got to be sure that you're consistent in what you're presenting to the people. If you came in 10th or 11th, and even 12th, and I hate to say it, you could still come in the top 9, but you've got to get out there and vote. If you've got a business to run, don't bother running. Just concede the election now. Okay? Because you've got to get out there and you've got to make the people believe that you're the candidate of choice, that you're the candidate that's going to make Fall River be a better place to live, a more affordable place to live, and a place that's going to be their city. Not like this mayor wants to do and throw everyone out in the streets. Okay? Remember, this mayor's position is high rents are a good thing for Fall River. Okay? Which means you can live in the street. And when you live in the street, he takes your tent down and moves you from there. So remember, this mayor doesn't care about the people. It doesn't care about the people at all.
Well, let me go back to a comment from Mr. X, one of our regulars. We're always great to have him here. He said the rubber will meet the road. The rubber's going to meet the road very soon, and it's very true. But normally in communities like Fall River, the people don't rise up until it's too late, until they've destroyed the city. You can't wait for this city to go into receivership before you start going to the polls. They waited until we had to recall Flanagan to worry about him running his city into the ground, and this guy's making Flanagan look like a piker. I mean, he's just piling debt up. I think our national debt for the first time hit 33 trillion. Yeah, Biden set a record. So this guy's trying to set a record. We're in debt. I bet you we're over $1 billion in debt right now if we looked at how much debt we really had to pay if we had to pay it now. Because I remember many years ago when Sean Kadim was the city administrator, being in Boston at a meeting, and Linda Pereira was in that meeting, when he said the city was $500 million, $500 million in a debt years ago. This guy is just running it up and running it up and running it up. And remember, people, don't wait till it's too late. We can't print money. We're not Joe Biden. We can't do this. We have to take control of our government, and you can only do that. You can only do that by voting. So, it's so apathetic. Well, you're right. You're right. That's one of the problems with people. They're apathetic until it directly affects them. And believe me, you think it's bad now? When in the next couple of years, when the ARPA money's gone, we're paying the full Durfee debt, the full Diamond debt, and for all the 68 jobs or something that Coogan created, plus all the pay raises he's given out to his friends, creating 4 supervisors where there used to be 1. then this city may be, and just for the record, a lot of people don't realize it, but Fall River was in receivership once. Many, 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 many years ago. But Fall River did go into receivership once. You don't want that to happen because they will, when the receiver comes in, they're going to cut everything and they'll destroy the city. And listen, our destiny is in our hands. I voted yesterday and they asked me if I wanted a little sticker. And I said, no. I know I voted. And that's what counts. The people out there have to vote. And the councilors have to talk to these people. You have to tell them what they're going to do. You have to tell them what you're going to do for them, what on their taxes, on crime, all these issues that everybody complains about. The vocal minority voted, but we are a minority behind the political class and the rich class. These election results clearly stated that the cabal that don't care if you get displaced from your home, that don't really care about crime, that only care about self-enrichment and political affiliation, are still running the city. And the only way they can stop running the city is if you get out there and in the next election, let's see if you can beat our recall election. We got nearly 17,000. Let's get another 10 or 11,000 people out there to vote, and let's see what they think. Be part of the change, because if you're not part of the change, you'll be responsible for a negative change.
What's very interesting is, when you look at the mayoral numbers, Paul got 60% of the vote. If you remember, during the Cliff Ponte campaign, he got 60% of the vote. So is that 60% always going to be his base? So you have to have Sam reach out to people that did not go out and vote and get them to come out and vote? Yes, that's what you got to do. You've got to get out the vote. You've got to work on it. If that means you got to put cards in place to take these people to the polls, that's what you do. I mean, I remember the days when I was working campaigns and we had a call bank and we would call people on election day. We'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning and we'd start asking them, do you need a ride? Can we make arrangements for a ride for you? We'd pick them up, take them to the polls and bring them back home. I mean, that's why we had turnouts of 70 and 80% back then, because candidates took the time to get them out. The problem is the candidates don't have a huge volunteer base. And that's the big problem that we have. We don't have a huge volunteer base. And because people are fed up, they're apathetic, and they want to know more. Okay? Mr. X says they literally voted for someone who doesn't see them as an equal and wants to price them out. Let that sink in. Yeah, you're right. Let that sink in. And that's going to be a hard message for people to turn away from. So I want to thank you all.
Wait a minute, CJ. Before you thank them, there was a shooting on Choate Street, and we didn't lead with that because we had so much to talk about. And it was a shooting a little while ago on Johnson Street, both in the Flint. See the irony there that they want to build market rate housing. You'd think yuppies are going to come down and live in a place where we had 2 shootings in the last week. So with that, now you can close it out because I had to get that in. And you're right. Get out and vote, everybody, in November.
I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.